Namaste everyone. Today we are again back to discuss about the hidden power of sacred sounds with Dr. Shekhar Mayanil. We had to stop in between the part 1 session due to the time limitation. So we shall continue today and we are all eagerly waiting to hear from you, Shekharji. So a warm welcome to you and please continue the discussion about the deeper aspects of sacred sounds connecting the ancient wisdom with the modern neuroscience. Thank you, and the stage is yours now.
Thank you, Nilimaji. This is such a great honor for me to share some of the insights of yogic neurosciences and how our scriptures and Sanatan Dharma is not just it should not be said as scientific. It is the very science itself. Which when you say, oh, it is scientific, which means we give more relevance to Western science compared to what our scriptures have been discussing about. That is science. This is the borrowed science. So the hidden power of chanting, that is the topic you gave me, and the ancient wisdom of self-realization meets modern neuroscience, part 2. In the last time, I did not talk about self-realization, and of course, there are some of the events, some of the things that were left out at that end when the time was off. So I thought, let me continue to it today. So offerings at the feet of my guru. These are from the lineage of Babaji all the way to Atmananji here. Atmananji initiated me into Kriya Yoga, and henceforth life have been different. Okay. So I just wanted to tell that. Now, what was the summary of the part 1? The first discussion that we have had was mantra chanting, or for that matter, Om chanting, or any kind of chanting, Yajurved chanting. That was the studies done on that. Yajurved chanting is mostly on the amongst all the Yajurved chanting, the most powerful is the Namakam and the Chamakam, right? Rudram. Rudram is the ancient chanting that is very, very powerful. The intonation itself is powerful. Whether you understand the meaning or not, it doesn't matter. It increases the volume of the higher cognitive structures in the brain. Higher cognitive structure means the cortical, this big portion, which is have the sulci and the gyri, the brain that you normally look at. That's what it is. Now it increases the volume of the hippocampus, involved in long-term and short-term memory and learning. Now this is the region which is gradually diminishing in size in the people who are not exposed to Sanatan Dharma chanting. The power of chanting is right here. You can see that. If you ask today's children who are mostly relying on the iPhone for even direction to a particular store, they might have gone 300 times, but they need directions. Oh, my father-in-law can remember 90 or 200 phone numbers on the spot. I just asked him, I just quizzed him one day and I said, what is the phone number of this? He will tell you exactly with area code and everything. Amazing memory. Right. And as and when we are relying on the technology, so-called, we are subletting or subcontracting our brain to the technology. In the process, our brain, neither the cognitive structures are increased, nor we have our hippocampus, which is the memory area of the brain, getting increased. So that's another problem. Now, decrease in the volume of the brain of those brain regions involved in limbic system, which means lust, fear, greed, rage, anger, jealousy, and hatred. Now, chanting decreases the volume of these areas, limbic system, right? So, limbic system is the one right now, it's highly increased in kids. You can see that for every small thing they have a fear, they have rage, they have anger, they have hatred, they have jealousy, and all that stuff is going on. So you can know what chanting can do right now. Now, this chanting the hidden power of chanting means it allows for a fresh rewiring of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for higher cognitive tasks, creativity, and intuition. Now, most people, When you have somebody has an intuition, they say it's illogical. No, no, no. It is beyond logic. It is much more. The brain knows better logic than your conscious awareness of it. That's what maybe that is the best way to describe it. Intuition is something the brain understands better, or for that matter, the gut understands even better. So they call it gut feeling. Gut feeling is gradually getting lost.
Correct.
Now, the fresh rewiring of the prefrontal. This prefrontal cortex is this portion of the brain where mothers, or for that matter, Neelima ji has put the bindi here. That is exact. Just behind that is a prefrontal cortex, and this is responsible for higher cognitive tasks, which means higher cognitive tasks means thinking, metacognition, I would say, right? Metacognition means you have a thought. Why that thought happened to you? Thinking about that and trying to get to the root of that thing and saying that it is not right or it is not wrong. It is correct or incorrect. So those things are decided by this. But if the fear and rage and anger and lust and all that, if the limbic system is activated, this cognitive task from the prefrontal cortex is compromised, and hence it affects our creativity. Remember, people, I was talking to some young kids, their mother were telling that this fellow cannot decide what to do in life. I said he should be doing some bowing. Bowing means put your head down on the floor and maybe um, at your feet or at the altar of your at your home puja altar, you can do that. That will help him develop prefrontal cortex properly, or start chanting Om, or start to listening to or memorizing all the Vishnu Sahasranam or Namakam, Chamakam, all that good stuff. You start that and you will see creativity. Will have a decisive intellect. Decisive means you can decide what is right and what is wrong. You can decide for your future. This is the place where decision happens. But if this place is not activated, the limbic system will completely hijack it. The amygdala, all that paper had talked about all the places where this decrease in the volume of this limbic system region. Limbic system is the complete package here. It has amygdala, it has the reticular activating system, it has the brainstem. All that stuff is involved in that. Insular cortex for compassion processing. People who do not have compassion, see, I, me, and mine thinking. This is my, this is I, this is me, this is mine, this is, and yours is also mine. This happens when you are not having any compassion for other person's feeling. The insular cortex gets activated when you get the chanting going in your life. So this particular chanting, this is the very high advanced feature of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma has by default included the chanting in our system so that we can get these things, insular cortex type of brain areas activated, so that we can have compassion. Now only then, only after this can we really understand Upanishads. Let me tell you honestly. So that's why in Vedas, where those Sam Veda and Yajur Veda and Rig Veda, all those Vedas have this chanting going on. Yajur Veda especially. Right? Yajur Veda is all about powerful chants. See, they only at the end of the Vedas, Vedanta happened. Upanishads happened at the end. They did not start with the Upanishads. Remember that. They did not start with the Upanishads. They ended up with Upanishads, which means only then you can understand Upanishads. If this is not happening in your life, if compassion is not happening, creativity is not happening, if cognitive task is not happening, if fear, greed, lust, anger, jealousy is constantly overpowering your behavior, and the memory is not there, memory about what? Memory about your true nature also. Then Upanishads reading is just intellectual exercise. It has no relevance. It will not, only you, those people who have not gone through this process and only they have picked up Upanishad and they say, wow, this is so good, I can use that to impress my friends. That's exactly what they will do. This is all intellectual exercises. It actually is destructive. in nature, because that is manipulative nature that they generate, because these things are not, because when you are manipulating, it is because of no compassion for the other, right? That's exactly how it is. Anyway, the neuroscience mechanism of Om chanting. Now, I'll give you one by one eight different mechanisms here. That is activation of DMN. When you hear, DMN is default mode network. This is Chitta Vritti. Chitta Vritti, Patanjali has talked about Chitta Vritti Nirodha is yoga. Right? Yoga is nothing but Chitta Vritti Nirodha. When your mind is the default mode network is shut down. Now initial listening is going to activate it, which means it will flood the brain with all this and that thoughts. That is chitta vritti. That is vikshiptata means lot of definite 100 different kind of thinking is going on. That is first thing that happens. Now after that whole process will going to shut down the default mode network. I'll talk to you about little bit later. Now brainwave entrainment, there are different kinds of brain waves that we are happening all the time, and this activation of default mode network can have lot of alpha, beta, delta, gamma, all the waves going on, and that is basically the reason for the activation of the DMN, right? Now with constant chanting, remember, not once, twice, thrice, every day, the same thing over and over and over again. What will happen is the brainwave entrainment will happen. Brainwave entrainment means all the high frequency, so high amplitude and low frequency and high frequency and low amplitude, all the different kind of brain waves will get synchronized as one set of brain wave. Not that they have different thinking. It'll it'll get to a very regular, every part of the brain will have the same kind of brain wave. That is called brain wave entrainment. What happens, why does this happen? It's because of Om chanting. Om chanting will cause this, but it has to be regular, remember that. Now activation of the reward system. Once the brainwave entrainment means, when the brainwave entrainment happens, you feel very relaxed because mind is not running left and right now, right? Now it is kind of very relaxed. You feel relaxed, and that is the reward of chanting. If you chant Om or any chant, Namakam, Chamakam or Vishnu Sahasranam, you listen to it, just don't even have to chant also. If you chant, that is million times better. But if you just listen also, you will feel very relaxed. Your mind will be not haphazardly thinking of 300 different things. The activation of the reward system. Now this is the activation of reward system means, now whenever you feel extremely good, ecstatic about anything, dopamine system or the reward system gets activated. Now this is what causes you to go back to the same chanting. Now remember that this dopamine system is also activated in addiction, but that addiction is self-destructive. This kind of a reward system which allows you to go ahead and next day also again chant and feel relaxed, and again next day feel chant and again relax. This is a different, very heavy duty good reward system, because what is happening is you are basically, remember the previous slide I showed you, hippocampus is increased, the size of the hippocampus is increased, the precognitive intelligence is increased, the prefrontal cortex is activated, so metacognitive intelligence is increased, intuition is increased. Those things are the positive side effect. Whereas the addiction of different kind, the negative kind is not going to completely destroy your what, your memory, your thinking capability, all those things. So now there is a stress reduction, deactivation of HPA axis. Remember last time I think I showed you. The HPA is hypothalamus, pituitary and adrenal. This is the axis that has. So this is a stress induced. Whenever this axis is out of whack means out of control, What happens? It increases the adrenal cortex, increases the secretion of cortisol in the brain, in your blood. Then cortisol causes a lot of other challenges, inflammation, and all the diseases is because of excessive stress. Excessive stress is because of hyperactivation of HPA axis or increase in the cortisol levels, right? So that stress reduction happens. Then increase in the parasympathetic activation of, see, when you are chanting Om or any mantra, long mantra especially, like Namakam or Chamakam, whatever that is, a big line. So what happens is whenever you're chanting, you are actually exhaling out. And since the mantras are very big, you have to really exhale out everything from your stomach. The stomach has to go and empty inside you. So that causes activation of the vagus nerve. I'll discuss this little bit later. So that vagus nerve activation and parasympathetic activation. Parasympathetic activity is it is rest, relaxed, contented, calm, peaceful, tranquil. That is called parasympathetic. On the other hand, sympathetic activity means stress, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, all that is sympathetic activity. So increase in parasympathetic activity, activation of vagus nerve because of Om chanting. Right? Now comes the deactivation of DMN. After all these things, this deactivation of DMN means now once you are rest and relaxed now, this particular thing now complete shutdown of Vikshipta mind. Vikshipta mind is uh, uh, absolutely bizarre. Intention and counter intention. All that is Vikshipta. Chitta vritti, Nirodha. This is called deactivation of DMN is known as Chitta vritti Nirodha by Patanjali, sage Patanjali. Now increase in the gray matter, increase in the cortical thickness. Now gray matter means the cell of the neuron, the neuron's nuclear body. Nucleus is always is when you cut the thin section, you so there is some staining method that always looks darkish in color, not light. So darkish is nucleus. So increased gray matter means more neurons, big time, and that is the cause of cortical thickness. When the cortical thickness happens, which means there are instead of 10 neurons or 10 100 neurons or 1000 neurons or whatever, you have to the power n. I mean 100,000 neurons compared to 100 neurons. That type of a thickness. So that thickness means more neuron means more memory, more cognitive activity in the brain, those kind of things, right? And then the neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means if there is some portion of the brain which is getting for some reason, let's say stroke happened somebody, so the neuroplasticity will repair that area or it will give the adjacent area the power to take over this area. So this is called neuroplasticity. Let's say somebody has, my mother had a stroke long time ago, and she is no more now, very early on she had a stroke. Now what happens because of the stroke? She lost the entire right side of the body, like no movement, nothing from eyelid to the face to all the right side. So physiotherapy and all that massage and all that caused her to regain the entire thing completely. But what happened? The stroke happened at the part of the left part of the brain, which caused the right part to be paralyzed. So the left part got that did not regenerate, but it causes the next close by portion to take over the function. That is called neuroplasticity. Also, in neural repair mechanisms, also neuroplasticity is also involved. So this is what it is now. I'll talk about one by one the auditory process. The sound of Om is processed in the auditory cortex. This is the auditory cortex here, just next to the ear, which activates the brain default mode network. So the moment you listen to Om, it starts to activate the default mode network, which means you start to think of different things, 112 different things started to think, right? Then what happened? Default mode network when active, and it causes mind wandering. Mind wandering means thinking around, just thinking of this and that, yesterday's thought and tomorrow's future, and all this and that is happening. Never in the present. It's always thinking about something. Engage in self-referral thinking. Example, thinking about ourselves, our past, or our future. Not focused at the present moment, right? This is what it is. Default mode network does not allow you to be in the moment, in the present moment. Now, default mode network includes region like prefrontal cortex, this portion, and posterior cingulate cortex. Remember, last time I had told you posterior cingulate, the green portion of the brain diagram. Remember,
Correct.
and temporal lobe. This is what it is included in prefrontal cortex. I'll tell you now. This is the medial prefrontal cortex here, and left parietal cortex, and posterior cingulate cortex here. So all the green portion over here constitute the default mode network. Now this particular noise made by the DMN or default mode network is picked up by the salience network, and that is what salience network is what causes you to shut down the default mode network eventually,
Yeah.
right? So deactivation of the default mode network happens, right? Regular Om chanting can lead to decreased activity in the DMN, which is responsible for mind wandering, rumination, and self-referral thinking. This is the data they talked about. This is the, the, the portion which is active, initially active, now it is shutting down here. The reduced mind wandering, reduced rumination and worry, focused attention on the breath or the sound, whatever that you are, if you are listening to sound the this kind of sound. The increased focus on the present moment, enhance cognitive flexibility. Now, cognitive flexibility means not rigid like my way or the highway is not cognitive flexibility.
Mm.
When you have cognitive flexibility, it is quite possible to go in other person's shoes and think from his point of view. Sometimes they may be right in some points. See, nobody in this universe want to be wrong. Everybody wants to be right. No matter whether you feel it is right or wrong, it is your problem. But that person also has a point. So you have to go into other person's shoes and think from the other's point of view.
Mm.
And then that is called enhanced cognitive flexibility. It is not I am the only right and that's the way it is supposed to be. That is a loser's thinking style.
Mm.
A winner always thinks from other person's perspective and weighs in and gives credit to if he is going to employ that idea in his action plan. Improved mental clarity. Some people have absolute clarity in their thinking, very, very clear. Sadhguru, for instance, I have seen his clarity is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The way he talks, never repeats the same word twice in the sentence. It's so fantastic he is. So anyway, that's one. By deactivating the DMN, the Om chanting helps reduce stress and anxiety, improve attention and concentration, enhance self-awareness and introspection. That is very important. Introspection, most of the time we do not do introspection, but with Om chanting, there is a high possibility of enhanced self-awareness and introspection. Introspection means, did I say that right in the meeting? I should not have said that.
Mm.
Next time, or that person goes next morning and he says, this statement I made yesterday was not becoming of me. What was not my way of saying it. I hence I really apologize to everybody. Openly he'll apologize publicly. He is so um, attuned to this self-awareness that he knows that that was a wrong thing to do, and he will go and so this is what it is very important. Now it promotes a sense of calm and well-being. That is so important. If you have to take a decision, right decision, you have to be calm. You have to be very clear in your thinking. So this is Om. Om is unbelievable. the Om mantra itself I had discussed last time. What it has, what all frequencies it carries, and how it works on the brain. It's unbelievable. Brainwave entrainment. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Synchronization of the brainwave. Different said alpha, theta, delta, all these different wave brainwaves are there. Now they are all acting in their own ways, right? So if the entire brain activity is averaged out into synchronized frequency, that is what this brainwave entrainment means, right? So this can induce relaxation, reduce cortical activity, unnecessarily cortical activities, and getting tired. That is exactly why sometimes when you just keep thinking about doing the work rather than doing it, makes you tired, much more tired than actually doing it. So that is exactly what it is. So reduce cortical activity. Unnecessarily thought, unnecessary thoughts can come and sap your entire energy and make you tired. And this also brainwave entrainment causes promotes uh, mindfulness also. Now I wanted to tell you what that is. Remember that thing I told you was alpha, theta, and delta. Now alpha is this one, theta is this one, and delta. So when you average it out, it will become lesser uh, erratic, right? It is close to coming down to gamma level, almost close. This and this and this will be almost uh, what you call getting into a very heightened perception. So so this is what this Om chanting does. It actually averages alpha, delta, and theta waves to a lesser, and then if you continue doing that, and if you sit in deep meditation or silence, I rather would say if you sit in silence, then the gamma wave happens. And gamma wave also is what Brahmari Pranayam also encourages. So I'll talk about that little later. Uh, Activation of the reward system, dopamine, as I told you, for pleasure, relaxation, and motivation. So these are the dopamine pathways here. It is mesocortical. This is mesolimbic. From here to limbic, from the limbic system to the frontal cortex, and this is neostriatal. This particular pathway, neostriatal, is if this is not properly working, then what happens is this particular thing gets you get Parkinson disease. That's exactly what it is. And if this is not there, then if this is not working properly, then the decisiveness is not there in your life, right? So these are the couple of things that happens in our brain. This is, I mean, each pathway can be a seminar by itself, so I'm not going to delve on that, but just to let you know that this dopamine, the reward system, is always working in our life. And if it is a reward system, if this pathway is working great, then what happens, you have metacognitive intelligence, and all the good stuff can happen, right? Now, stress reduction. Om chanting can decrease the production of stress hormones like cortisol. As I told you, cortisol is a very high level stress hormone which basically causes systemic inflammation of your system. In the brain inflammation, lung inflammation, you name it, all in, and that inflammation is what causes cancer and all the diseases. Immune system hijack happens, and I mean, every possible disease is purely because of stress. So and fear, of course. Increase parasympathetic activity, the vagus nerve activation in the vagal tone. Now, vagus nerve vibration, the when you're chanting Om, the vocal vibration around here, around the throat and the mouth, there is a vagus nerve that gets stimulated. Okay, and that sends signal to the brain to get the job done. So in the brain, it actually activates, and the region is very much in the center of the brain, which is called thalamus, right? That thalamus is the one which basically governs the entire. I mean, that's the place where the entire signal from there goes all over the brain. So this vocal cord vibration of the vagus nerve is amazing. Okay. Breathing pattern changes. Chanting often involves slow rhythmic breathing. When you're doing the inhale deeply and chant very slowly. It is a rhythmic flow happens, right? It is a very small. It is a very slow. Not
Right.
that is not the way it breathing. It increases. Inhale. So a very rhythmic breathing happens, and that also activates the vagus nerve and promotes relaxation, reduces the heart rate, improve respiratory functions. Amazing! I have seen this happen. What happens is even if you are chanting it om mentally, also this can happen. I have seen people who go through stress test for various heart conditions and all that. I told them you can cheat the test, the stress test results by chanting "Om" mentally when that person is. First of all, they will make you do bicycling or treadmill or something like that, right? And then they will say how long it takes to come back to normal. So if I told them that if you chant Om mentally Om, because loudly they will say what the heck is going on. So if you chant very slowly, Om, mentally, it will completely reduce the heartbeat to like within 3 minutes it can come back to normal. Whereas suppose they are supposed to come back to normal after half an hour. In 3-4 minutes it will get it back. So then they will say you don't have problems. And then that fellow gets excited about it. I say if I do Om chanting otherwise also, I'll have never have a heart problem. I say absolutely. It improves the heart rate and in respiratory function both. Emotionally, chanting evokes strong emotions, which can stimulate the vagus nerve. See, again, vagus nerve is one of the most important thing that ever existed in this planet. I tell you honestly, this is the best thing that happened. It releases neurotransmitters like oxytocin, dopamine, endorphin, and all the good stuff that happens. It reduces stress and anxiety, right? Now, this is the gray matter we talked about. Remember the nucleus? This is what happens when this is a gray matter and this is a white matter. White matter means axon is having white myelin sheath. That is this myelin sheath is basically a insulator, just like a copper wire has a plastic insulation. That is exactly this is a electrical activity happening in this cell, right? So it sends currents around here or sends currents from here to all that, right? The current is going on, so it has to be insulated, otherwise it will short circuit everywhere else, right? So increase in the gray matter is what Om chanting does. Neuroplasticity, rewiring of the brain, increase the gray matter. I just told you. Neurotransmitter regulation, default mode network activation, reduction. Neural oscillation means, say for instance, if you are chanting Om, Om, Om. Now let's say um, somebody in Himalaya is chanting Om. Just for example, I'm just chanting Om, 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 Om. In fact, in Tibet, if you go there, I am told, I'm not gone there yet. And next, in that area of Mansarovar Lake and Mount Kailash, that area, if you just sit quietly, you will hear the sound of Om. Big, huge, big time. So, what is that Om chanting? Somebody is definitely chanting Om there, right? Lord knows since when they have been chanting. So in the brain there are some cells which oscillate. Those are mirror neurons. In the same mirror neurons in your brain get oscillation going on as much as that person's mirror neuron, which means whatever he can experience there in Himalaya, you can experience here exactly sitting there while you are chanting Om. That is like, I mean, this is a higher level of neuroscience and quantum physics. If you quantum neurosciences, if you have a field come out of that, I am sure that is something like that can really how mirror neurons in me and the mirror neuron in the same neurons in that person can synchronize at such large distance? I don't know. I mean, it's something worth uh, investigating. Emotional regulation also happens, neuroplasticity. Now, migration of neural precursor, neuroplasticity uh, has, say, when you chanting the Om and the M part of that, Om, when you do the thing, that is exactly what happens in Brahmari Pranayam also, right? And Brahmari Pranayam, I'll just show you a movie right now, just see how that works. So this pink area is what you are looking for, and this area is these small dots that you see are the neuroblasts. They are coming and flooding the entire cortex here, cerebral cortex. You see this? This is what it is. When you chant Om, most likely that's what happens in your brain. So these neurons are going to migrate and populate the areas of the brain which probably are lost or are dying or something like that. This is unbelievable, right? And this is what Om chanting does. Increases the entire cognitive structure of the brain. Now what has happened? Another important thing is Brahmari Pranayam is a possible synaptic pruning. Synaptic pruning, the sound wave vibrations will destroy the weak, and weak means that those synapse means when two neurons have interconnection, they are talking to each other, right? So like this is one neuron, this is another neuron, and it just comes here and sit like that. So that particular, and if there is unnecessary um, every dopamine increase or any activity causes some new neuronal connection to happen. Now if some of the times that neuronal connection will eat up all your energy, this part of the, before pruning this part of the, this is exactly what the noise, the clutter, and the default mode network is basically all about. Absolutely. No relevant thinking. If this neuron says, I want to do this, neuron will say, who the hell says you can do it? Or then this fellow say, well, last time you tried to do it, you failed. And they say, well, nobody has ever been able to do it. So when you this neuron activity is destroyed because of this all three together trying to destroy this fellow. So when Om chanting happens, all these fellows are dead. And nothing doing. When you constantly chant Om, then only, not like tomorrow, one day chant and next day forget it. No, 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 it doesn't work like that. Because the brain knows if you have made a decision, that the brain will help you make that decision happen. However, if you procrastinate, I'll not do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. Then the brain knows that this fellow cheats. This fellow, and it'll come up with new excuses tomorrow. Or yesterday I could not get up, that's why I did not do it. Today they will say, well, I had homework to do. I had this project report to write, so I cannot do it today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Once you give one excuse to the brain will help you create new excuses, and that is exactly what this jungle of neurons will be created. When you chant Om, pruning happens. Only the relevant ones, the good ones, and the most uh, job oriented, objective oriented, passion oriented neurons will be sitting here, and they will get your job done. So this is very important to understand. First of all, Brahmari Pranayam can increase the neuronal connection where neuronal connection is required by you. Second thing it does is it can destroy those faulty connections if at all it has got made somehow. And that is exactly why this is important in my opinion is, remember long time ago mothers used to chant When the baby was small, or when the baby was in the womb, they used to chant all those mantras to create a brain wiring in the womb itself that could create such strong neuronal connections. Um, at the age of 2, autism spectrum disorders are manifested, right? That's what they diagnosed at the age of 2. But why the autism spectrum disorder happened actually? Because of some neurons who never got pruned, and aberrant behavior, aberrant thinking, all that started. So if there is home chanting going on at home, your mother is chanting home, small baby is listening to it, these kind of things will get pruned, and after pruning, this clarity in the brain structure, in the neuronal structure in the brain will happen. That is one of the most important um, benefit of chanting. Most important. The Om chanting itself produces 432 high frequency hertz frequency vibration. In Brahmari, the part of that creates a vibration between 800 to 1.2 kilohertz, which is sustained Om at Sahasra Chakra. This is the Sahasra Chakra at the in the cranium. When at this, that's the Sahasra Chakra. That is the one which has 800 to 1.2 kilohertz of frequency going on. Now, this is the reason for enhanced cognition, focused awareness, and deep spiritual states. I repeat, this is this. If you want to take a slide, a screenshot of this is the slide you should take a screenshot for. Om chanting produces 432 hertz frequency mouth, but when you're doing the thing, which is happening inside the brain now, the brain is vibrating. All the neurons and everything else is vibrating at this particular frequency, which is 800 to 1.2 kilohertz. Sustained Om at Sahasra Chakra. Enhanced cognition, focused awareness, and deep spiritual states happens there. Now, in addition to this good stuff that you just saw in the previous slide, the Om chanting, or you can say the Brahmari chanting, a sustained creates nitric oxide. 15-fold increase in nitric oxide happens because of in our system because of Om chanting or the M chanting. Om, that type. So what all places it gets done? Endothelial cells. Endothelial cell is cell lining the lumen of the blood vessel. Okay, so blood vessel, these purple cells are the one which creates the nitric oxide. Macrophages is another immune cell which tackles all the bacteria or viruses that somehow got entry in your body. It will tackle it, completely destroy it. And of course, it also not only destroy, it also eats up all the what you call uh, mutated cells. In our body, there is a lot of mutation constantly happening. And those are the cells which are these macrophages can recognize this fellow is not good. So they will actually engulf it, eat up the entire cell. And the third place where then this nitric oxide is produced is at the new nerve cells. These neurons are the one which produces a lot of nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is also a neurotransmitter. So whenever there is the nitric oxide, it will create a lot of neuronal connections, nice neuronal connections. So that's what it is important. But it should not be done overly. Remember, primary pranayama, I recommend only doing 7 times, not more than that per time. Because what will happen, excessive of anything is not good, right? Excessive can create lot of neuronal connections, right? That pruning will have to happen then again. So the why you want to create more so that it will be get pruned? Why waste energy, excessive energy? Just do 7 times so that you can create new neurons and break the old ones, and that's good enough. In summary, this is what we saw. The auditory processing This is what Om chanting does: brainwave entrainment, activation of reward system, stress reduction, parasympathetic activity increase, deactivation of the chitta vritti this is what is chitta vritti nirodha, increase gray matter neuroplasticity. These are the possible application of pranayama and mantra chanting is in Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease, what happens is neurons are dying, but new neurons are not formed. So we know that if you chant it, the neurons from the subventricular zone, there are some hollow areas in the brain, inside the brain, the cells lining that hollow, though the hollow areas is basically ventricles, which is filled with cerebrospinal fluid, right? So that the cells lining that hollow area is subventricular zone. So those subventricular zone cells are basically made out of neural stem cells. They are all neural stem cells. So if you just activate them by primary chanting, they will get from becoming from neural stem cell to neuroblast to neuron, and that neuron will go and solve the Alzheimer challenges, right? All these different neurodegenerative disorders, brain fog. Oh yeah, the teenagers have experiencing brain fog these days. Fragile mind, confusion, depression, anxiety, blood clot related stroke, high blood pressure, immunity, all this will be solved, hopefully, by pranayam and mantra chanting. Yeah, our rishis were so great, they figured it out. All we have to do is just agree with them. They are not wrong. And most of us, including me, I used to be very skeptical of our Sanatan Sanskriti's protocols. Little did I know that these were protocols that tested for time and time again for centuries. Can you not believe that? That is century old dynamics. Science is just trying to discover what they have already known. Now, this is what that old is this current science. This I mean, this current science is baby, not yet born. I would say baby is also quite a big. They are not even born to the protocol that Sanatan Dharma Sanskriti has created already. So, okay, what about the abdominal movement when you are doing this chanting and all? You see increase. Om, let's say Om Namaste Bhagwan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Sriman Mahadevaya Namah. I just did it in one breath. I did it fast, and basically if you do this chanting after some pranayam, you increase your lung capacity increase. And then, so what happened when you are towards the end, I was trying to do as much as possible, right? So this big mantra is basically 16 to 18 second exhalation, right? So what you are doing when you are exhaling, you're putting your stomach in, right? Completely, all the way back to the backbone. So what happens in that, there is a huge vagus nerve network which gets activated. So I'll just show you. This is the vagus nerve network here. Vagus nerve is bidirectional. 10% efferent, which means 10% it sends from brain to the rest of the body, and 90% of the signal it sends from the body, all the parts of the body, back to the brain. Now, when you are doing the chanting, you are pressing this portion, right? Abdominal portion that gets activated and sends the signal to the brain. That is powerful stuff. So when the activation of vagus nerve happens, a lot of good things happen. All the things that you took, the benefit of this is what it does. So basically, vagus nerve gets straight into the in the brain over here through. Let's say this is your vagus nerve, one of the major solar plexus nerve here, and this is your solar plexus or the called Manipura chakra. Basically, this is vagus nerve network, I would say. Now, this sends the entire system all the way into the thalamus, and thalamus is the place where things happen. They completely, from here, there is a thalamocortical radiation, they call it. Thalamocortical means thalamus to cortical radiation, which means from here, there will be nerves which will go all over the all different part of the brain. Why this is important? Let's assume, for simplicity, the vagus nerve network here, this network is your internet, and this is your router, and all the different part of the brain controlling different functions are the devices. So let's say Alexa is one of the device, uh, cell phone is another device, or you can say printer is another device, laptop is another device. All different devices are connected to thalamus. This is what it is. So this is what I call a thalamocortical radiations coming all the way, right? Now, when will I know that I have reached somewhere in my own Om sadhana? This is the question that most people ask. How do I know that I have reached somewhere when I've been chanting Om and I have not yet attained anything yet? How do I know that I have done something worthwhile? The answer is when the scriptures start reading you. I repeat again. Now this is very esoteric in nature when I'm talking. The scripture starts reading you how? For instance, in Ganesh Ganpati Atharva Sheesha it says, Twameva pratyaksham tattvamasi, Twameva kevalam kartasi, Twameva kevalam dhartasi, Twameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasi. Right? All these things we are saying that. But this particular saying is Ganesh ji is already that. Ganesh ji is already that. But when you understand when you have done chanting Om so many times, then you start to say, this is what Ganpati ji is telling you. That is the beauty. Ganpati ji, the Atharva Shirsha is Upanishad. Upanishad means master and student is there. The Guru and Shishya is there. So if I am the Shishya, the Guruji is who is Guru? Ganpati ji. And this is Ganpati ji telling you, त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि, त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि, त्वमेव सर्व खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि. This is you. Oh, I get goosebumps just thinking like this. This is essentially Ganpati ji telling you that this is what you are. Now, second thing, when the Lord, see, this is how this is in Ramcharitmanas, Bharat ji has reached to that level where the Ramji is trying, he is chanting Bharatji's name. Bharat saris nahi kus nahi jag jap Ram Ram jap jehi. The whole world chants Ram name when Ramji is chanting Bharatji's name. Once that happens, when the Guru praises you, in the Ganpati Atharva Sheesha says, Ganpati is saying, this is what you are. This is what you are. Tat Tvamasi. This is exactly what Upanishads, all Upanishads said the same thing. Tat Tvamasi. This is what it is. When the Guru starts to praise the Shishya, know that you have reached somewhere. When the scriptures start reading you, know that. Hanumanas हनुमान सम नहीं बड़ भागी नहीं को राम चरण अनुरागी गिरिजा जा सुप्रीत सेवकाई बार बार प्रभु निज मुख गाई. Oh, and Girija means Parvati ji, Shivji is telling Parvati ji, Hanuman ji, there is nobody as Badabhagi means fortunate than Hanuman ji. Why? Because Hanuman ji is bar Prabhu Nij Mukh Gai. Prabhu means Ram ji is chanting his name and he is telling his Hanuman ji's glories to the world, all over the world. When this happens, know that we have reached somewhere. Only then when you can say Aham Brahmasmi, isn't it? Right. And then your Om sadhana has worked. Right? Thank you for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Shekharji. That was amazing. Excellent. My God, there is so much involved in this simple chanting of Om and
Yes,
Gayatri.
it is so beautiful. Our scriptures, oh my goodness, you have no idea. I wish I had known this earlier in my life. Or I was so stubborn not to cite these things, just this is all nonsense, this is good. Idiot brain, no? Youngsters should learn these things from now on. They should not wait for them to get the Western science to tell them. This is
Right.
already a science. Our scriptures is science, pure science. There
Right.
is no such thing as scripture. It is the highest form of science known to mankind, and it has got submerged because of whatever.
Right. But how, I don't know, the initial motivation can come to the youngsters. Like as you said, we will put them aside.
You have to get them in front of this video, or try to understand them. Try to sit down together, maybe once, not a whole lot, but
Gradually.
there's so much science going on here. It's unbelievable. This is all the data is coming from scientific literature
Correct.
right here, the Western science literature. They are the ones who have the inquisitiveness to know what the old scriptures were telling, and we don't even value that.
True.
We are sitting on we have inherited some, like, I don't know what all inheritance is. We have inherited one of the mm, most phenomenal wealth of knowledge. You can't even comprehend that.
Right.
It's so fantastic.
Just to have
I
such
don't. I'm
things. Yeah.
speechless when I talk about our scriptures. Even Hanuman Chalisa, every word is Maha Mantra in that. Maha Mantra.
Wow.
Every word is Maha Mantra. It can rewire your brain. It can make you every. Then Shivji says, Tulsidas ji says, जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होए सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा. You know Hanuman Chalisa,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
होए सिद्धि साखी गौरी. Siddhi means everything. Those who read Hanuman Chalisa this way, everything in this universe that they want will happen to them. You become the powerhouse. You become the orchestrator of your destiny. You become the writer of your destiny. Whatever you want, you will have it. It is a promise. Shivji says, I am the Sakhi Gauri is a Sakshi. Whatever I am saying, Tulsidas is saying, whatever I am saying is Sakshi. Who is Sakshi means witness. Shivji is a witness to what I am saying. Now, what else can you? He's put Shivji on the line. I mean, he won't be lying to that level, right? He's not if and but. It is fact. Amazing.
And it is not even in Sanskritam
It
language.
is so Avadhi, simple
Yeah,
Avadhi,
Avadi,
simple
yeah.
language, and it has Mahamantra in it.
Mm.
Unbelievable. But it has to be done in the right way.
Right way.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Shekhar.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
sharing this amazing
Sure.
wisdom with us.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaskar.